Move over, EA. Move over, Activision. There's a new contender for the world's lousiest and out-of-touch gaming company.
Don't open the door. See? Everything's okay.
Hi everybody, my name is Justin. Welcome to Game On, a show all about tabletop gaming, from RPGs to board games and everything in between. Today I want to take a look at some of the reasons why I think that Wizards of the Coast is becoming a lousy, out-of-touch game company with its players, and why I think it is rivaling the high gods of stupidity, EA and Activision. I want to let you know, before you go typing into the comments saying that I'm an idiot, I'm stupid, I want to let you know that I was a simp for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. When it came out, it was the greatest RPG I had ever played. I loved it so much, I pushed it on to everybody I wanted to. I always wanted to play it. 5th edition D&D was my bread and butter. It's much to Matt's chagrin, I wouldn't shut up about it. He would tell me, play other games. At the time, I wouldn't listen to him. I don't want you to think that I'm just here to complain. I love this hobby. I love the hobby of tabletop role-playing games. I'm just afraid that new hobbyists are going to be pushed away when they see WOTC as the self-proclaimed greatest role-playing game in the world goes off their rocker trying to monetize as much crap as they can in their games. Because I love this hobby, I want to watch it grow and thrive, and I don't want this to be the face of the hobby. But I'd rather have this be the face of our hobby. So let's talk about why I think WOTC is becoming one of the lousiest gaming companies in the world. So we're going to start off with the 1 D&D playtest. The 1 D&D playtest is supposed to be the love letter to D&D players. It is supposed to be what WOTC does by taking all of their suggestions, all the feedback from the players, fix everything that D&D 5th edition did wrong, and make it right again. Now, for those of you who have been playing the 1 D&D playtest, reading through its rule set, you will know that it seems like WOTC has heard everything that you have to say and then threw it out in the trash. One of the best examples I can give you off the top of my head is the Cleric. The Cleric playtest. First of all, let's talk about the cantrips. They're trying to tell you to take Spare the Dying at first level. Spare the Dying is, it stabilizes a downed player, but a DC 10 medicine check does that. Anyone can do that. You don't need to use a spell cantrip slot for that. But they're saying not to take guidance at first level. What cleric player doesn't take guidance? I know that there's a million players out in the world, but who doesn't play with guidance as a cleric? That's the reason why you play a cleric. You give people extra D4s to help them pass checks. I don't know any player of a cleric, either in real life, in Discord, or on Reddit, who doesn't use guidance at first level. It seems weird, like WOTC doesn't know the game that they have made. Speaking of which, at first level, they're suggesting that you take Shield of Faith over Guiding Bolt. Excuse me? Shield of Faith is a 10-minute concentration spell that kind of boosts your AC by a little bit too? That's concentration? Yeah, I know that at first level you're squishy, but 5th edition has proved over and over again that the best defense is a good offense. Why not give them Guiding Bolt at first level? You're saying 2nd or 3rd levels when they should be taking that? That seems so out of touch, WOTC. There's no player that I know of that's a cleric that's gonna... If they had a choice between taking Shield of Faith or Guiding Bolt, they're gonna take Guiding Bolt. It helps so many people, and it does a lot of damage. There's no way to save yourself in 5th edition. You can try to stack your AC as high as you can, but that's not how the math works. in 5th edition, you want to pump damage downstream. You don't want to try to defend yourself as much unless you're like a really crazy special build. I don't know, like a Blade Singer or something. But it goes to show that WOTC is out of touch. And they are trying to make a love letter to their fans by making the best, newest edition of the greatest role-playing game in the world, but it's definitely falling flat so far, and they're not really sparking a whole lot of joy in players. You can go and take a look at all these videos of people saying, the one playtest is pretty crappy, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in there. And this kind of reminds me of the Electronic Arts DICE issue with Battlefield 2042. It was supposed to be a love letter to the Battlefield players like me. Instead, they kind of took all of the feedback that they heard and threw it out the window and pigeonholed you into a certain way of playing. They took out all the fun and all the feedback and made it the way that they thought you wanted to play it, but it wasn't even close to how you wanted to play it.
Don't be sad. This is just how it works out sometimes.
So another point I want to make is how 5th edition D&D doesn't have a whole lot of rules, even though you would think it has a whole lot of rules. Flexing Beast did this great video on the 5th edition DM Crisis, and I made a live reaction to it, which you can look up here, and I agree with Flexing Beast. I think 5th edition does have a DM Crisis, but not exactly for the same reason that he suggested, though it's very similar. 5th edition has a very roundabout language of rulings when it says, basically talk it out with your DM. I paid what, $60 brand new for this book, and it's 320 pages of just figure it out with your DM. There's a whole class, so there's a whole subclass called the Wild Magic Sorcerer, who it's all up to DM fiat. It's all up to whether or not the DM lets you roll on that Wild Surge table. It's up to the DM to make those rulings. It's up to the DM to figure out what happens when Divine Intervention goes off and your god is helping you. What does it look like when a wish goes off in your game? It's up to the DM. The DM isn't given enough rules on how to deal with this shit. There's so much going on in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons that is up to the DM and DM fiat, like preferred terrain and preferred enemy types for rangers. A lot of that is up to the DM to make up the rulings and how they're going to go about ruling on that combat and the travel, specifically travel. Travel's a whole shit show in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. It's all up to the freaking DM, and yet we have 320 pages of a rulebook that I paid $60 for. And all these new rulebooks are just like that. Spelljammer was such a huge letdown. Spelljammer is basically, what did I pay, $80 for the deluxe slipcase? All for it to basically be, oh well, it's at the speed of thought that you move. Just, hand wave it, and there's no combat in space, just hand wave it. Do your standard D&D turn-based combat. Ugh, that pisses me off so much that I paid so much money for it. All that I'm getting from these books is so much money wasted for so many words, for so few rules for DMs. Now, there are some really cool player-facing rules, but as a DM, I'm left homebrewing most of my stuff, so why even pay a game company for their books when 90% of the stuff is overhauled by my own brain? So if you're into watching YouTube videos of people who are as passionate as me about their hobby, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and make sure to hit that like button so that we know that you like this kind of video. This is me angry, by the way, so if you want to see more angry, passionate hobby talk about the RPG world, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon. Thanks, guys. So I'm sure at least most of you have heard of that shareholder call that WOTC and Hasbro did a couple of weeks ago, talking about how D&D is under-monetized, because apparently a almost 15% growth in revenue last year isn't good enough for them, so they need to monetize it even more, and they're going to be way out of touch with players like me, who is a minnow, and even out of touch with players like my friend Dave, who is a whale. So this is Dave. Again, he's a whale. He's a cute beluga whale. No, he is a whale in the industry of gaming sense. And a whale in the industry of gaming basically means somebody who will go out and buy everything that they can, or at least a lot of things that they can, for the particular game that they play. A lot of Call of Duty players do this. A lot of the high-end, passionate Call of Duty players will buy the Battle Pass, they'll buy the Season Pack, they'll buy the skins, they'll buy the blueprints for the new guns. They want to have as much of the cool content, or at least that they subjectively think is cool, for themselves, and there are also some completionists who want to buy everything that they can. Now, Dave is like this when it comes to D&D, and I know a lot of Magic players who are like this too, because Magic rule sets keep on, phasing in and out, and that's just a whole cash cow on its own. But Dave will buy everything. He'll buy the Critical Role, the Acquisitions Incorporated, everything that is D&D branded that WOTC makes money from, he'll buy. Now, there's people like me who are minnows. Don't get me wrong, I buy 5th edition books, and I'll even pay full price for them, but I'm not going to buy them immediately, or I'm going to wait on a deep discount, or I'm going to use a gift card that somebody got me, or I'm going to pick it up at a used bookstore, or even one of my books that I got at a free shelf on my local library. I'm a minnow. I don't like to pay a whole lot of money into games if I don't have to, and I don't feel very happy that they want to squeeze more money out of me. And I'm really starting to think that most of the whales in WOTC for 5th edition D&D are also going to stop buying as much stuff as they can, because if everything is monetized, it starts to become more of a chore to play the game than it is a hobby. Now, Activision and Call of Duty kind of screwed the pooch on this back in, 2018, when Black Ops 4 came out. There was some really high-end, over-the-top monetization practices that were really shady, pissed off a lot of players, drove a lot of them away, including myself, not that I'm a huge video game player. And even the whales started to leave the game, and they still are, even with the Modern Warfare 2019 monetization scheme that's a little bit better for the end user. It's still driving out some of the big whales because a lot of the quality of the game has gone down because they're trying to monetize nickel and dime every small part of you. So if the whales are being squeezed out, imagine minnows like myself being squeezed out. That's what 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons seems to be trying to do, or at least WOTC wants to do it with all of their gamings moving forward, thanks to that conference call. Kind of gives you the idea that that's what they want. A couple of months ago, I put out a video called The Dangers of Buying Digital. I remember posting that on Reddit and getting a lot of hate on Reddit because they're like, there's no way WOTC could do anything stupider than they're doing. There's no way that they could monetize their game anymore, and there's nothing that they can to make it any worse. Oh. It can.
Collector's Edition, locked premium content, pay for reroll vouchers, more minis, charge small businesses more to sell our product, pay to skip a level, games must be played at game stores and charge players, no free online gaming, streamers must pay us to stream, we get a cut of all ad revenue, no smiling unless you pay us, no homebrew without paying us. Game stores must charge you more to buy anything other than D&D content. Charge more for D&D content. No home games allowed without approval and game maintenance fee. No critical hits allowed unless using official D&D dice. Ah!
When it comes to WOTC Dungeons & Dragons, right now I kind of feel like the humans in the Matrix, whereas WOTC is the machines that are harvesting our energy, aka our money, and trying to suck us dry to make a very sad and bleak future for the hobby, but I am pushing away from that. I am unjacking myself from the 5th edition WOTC Kool-Aid that I kept on drinking. This channel is no longer going to really be talking about Dungeons & Dragons. I just don't care anymore. I don't care about WOTC. I'm still super thankful that my future mother-in-law got me a really great mug that says D&D on it. I have some D&D bumper stickers. Don't get me wrong, I love the hobby. I still even love D&D. I just don't love WOTC, and I don't want to play D&D right now. This channel is going to be focusing on Call of Cthulhu. It's going to be focusing on maybe Blades in the Dark, Traveler, other games to help get you out of drinking the 5th edition Kool-Aid if you want to get out of drinking it. You can keep drinking it if that's what you want, but if you want to escape the WOTC regime that is of the hobby, please make sure to subscribe and follow us here on Game On. But this is where I really want to hear from you guys in the comments. I know I was super passionate about this one, but it's something I really feel strongly about. What do you guys think? How do you guys feel about getting squeezed and nickeled and dimed for every little thing with WOTC's version of D&D and 5th edition and the new 1D&D? Let me know what you guys think. Are there any other games that you can think of that maybe we should talk about on this channel? Thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart for watching. Once again, my name is Justin. Now grab some dice, grab a character sheet, and game on.